Welcome to Gracefully and Frankly, episode 130. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt, and you have been with The Coven. Can't wait to hear about it, yeah.
The Coven, my three sisters, all four of us. Oh my goodness, it's been a ride the last little bit, but this is just my favorite moment of the week, being with you and getting to talk about everybody.
Oh, yay.
Talk to everybody. How are you? You good?
Oh, yeah, no, everything's great. Funny, I had a little thing with my eyes. You know, my eyes are still healing.
Yes?
And it sort of felt like somebody was using sandpaper on them. But it turns out I called the clinic and they said, well, there's a very rare thing. I said, let me stop you there.
Oh.
That's what it is. So apparently I have a sensitivity to these eye drops. So there's such a thing as preservative-free eye drops, and they save the day. So
good.
You're always learning. Yeah.
It's funny, you went right to, if it's rare, I've got it. Just move on.
Exactly. Yeah, I was pretty sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do something rare and start this week with a joke. One of my sisters told me this joke. And you have to listen really carefully, because if you're like Rob, you have difficulty with consonants. So I'm going to enunciate the hell out of this joke so that you get it, okay?
All right.
So this older couple starts dating. First time for both of them being back on the dating scene, right? And things are moving along so well. One thing leads to another, and finally it comes the first night of romance. Okay, are you with me? All right, a dimly lit room. And she's wearing this beautiful pink peignoir set, just like she's on her honeymoon. And he is wearing just his tighty-whities. Let's not get too involved here. It's not a leopard skin Speedo or anything, a leopard print. So this guy's there and is all together, and she's looking at him, and she looks down at his feet because she's modest, and she notices he has these really gnarly toes. And she says to him, "Oh my goodness, look at your toes." And he said, "Oh, when I was really young, I had polio." And she goes, "Oh, okay, polio. Hadn't heard of that. All right." And then as her eyes gradually rise a little bit, she notices these, they're awfully knobby and unsightly knees. And she says, "Well, what happened to your knees?" And he said, "Well, it was rare," but kind of like what Lisa would get when she goes to him. "It was rare, but it was measles." And she goes, "Measles? Never heard of measles." And then he completely disrobes. They get into bed. They're ready to, And she looks down and says, "Oh my, let me guess, smallpox?"
That's good.
You got it? Good.
That's good. Oh, I got it. Yes. Oh, that's funny.
As long as you don't get it, you got it.
Right.
Good.
Right. Funny.
So that was one of the things to come out of my visit with the Coven.
Now, let me guess which sister told that. Was that Cindy?
Believe it or not, yes.
I knew it. I don't know why. I think I've only met Cindy in passing once. And I mean, I know Leslie best of all of them, and then Heather.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. It just seemed like a Cindy joke to me.
Yeah, it was one that an MC for a cabaret that she hosted, she puts on these big music shows down in her town in Mexico. And she said the MC told that joke. And she doubled over laughing. She was the musical director, and she couldn't catch her breath. She was laughing so hard. And the funny thing is, her ex-husband was in the audience. So that made it even better.
That's what's funny about it. Yeah, she's out there in the dating scene again, right after many, many years. So probably seen a thing or two.
Yeah, she's seen polio and everything else, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But, when we get together, there's always, a lot of laughter. There's always some friction because we are four chiefs, as my mother would say. We were all four bosses, and even just trying to get everybody to agree where the outside patio table should go to give Dad his birthday cake. It should be over here. No, let's put it over here. And people start dragging chairs and stuff. And I finally said, I turned like 8 years old, Lisa, and I said, "Can't we just do something I want to do for once?" Jesus.
That dynamic never changes, does it?
It never does. It wasn't my proudest moment, but it was pretty neat when we all started singing. And of course, they wouldn't wait until I was rolling my camera and I had to say, "Okay, start again." Then they started again, and then I rolled the camera. So I'm going to fade up a little bit, and you're going to hear how four sisters can really harmonize. And this was just off the cuff. So here it is, and at the end, Dad's even joining. Here we go. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daddy. Happy birthday to you. To me.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So it was his 92nd birthday.
Yes, just yesterday he turned 92, and of course Father's Day is coming up as well. So this is a tender time for a lot of sons and daughters.
How was he? Like, what's his state like? I know he has dementia.
He does.
And he is 92. So how was he with remembering you and all those things?
Well, he didn't say any names. We didn't ask him like, okay, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? But at one point,
Good. Yeah.
our eldest, Heather, wasn't there for the first visit, and we said, which sister is missing, Dad? And he took about a minute, literally a minute, and then he went, Heather. So that was good. Cindy didn't figure he recognized her because, A, she's changed her hair color and gone dark, but 2, she hasn't seen him in person in 3 years. So, yeah, there was that. But it's like, to put it back into eye test context, you know when you've got that big binocular thing on your face and they're moving pictures and you see this little farmhouse?
Yes.
And it moves around and it gets faint and comes back. He's just the farmhouse that's fading away.
Yeah.
He's really kind of not there, but wherever he is, he seems to be happy.
That's the most you can hope for, right?
It is, and he's being so well cared for. We watched these caregivers in his home. You know, it was happy hour, and so we went to a big room where there was a combo playing and sitting there thinking, here's a number from Van Morrison, and I'm thinking, that's the Everly Brothers. But you know what? These people don't care who did it.
Right.
That's just me.
I remember when my dad was slipping away and he would have times when he roared back, and it would shock us that he was so cognizant of everything going on, and then he would fade away again, and eventually they just go to the other side. But I think you're absolutely right when you say he's not in pain, he's not unhappy, and that's the important thing.
It really is. And we could be sad. I mean, when we were alone later, it would be poor Daddy. And, you know, we all are very committed to not letting this happen to each other and ourselves.
I don't know how you can prevent that, though. I'll just tell you my dad's story. My dad was adamant that he was not going to have dementia or to lose himself. And he told us that. He said, I'm going to take care of things. I'm not going to do this. But it happens so incrementally.
Yeah, like the frog in the pot of boiling water, right?
Exactly. And then by the time you are going that way, you don't have the wherewithal or the awareness to do something else. And I mean, even if we're going to go that far and talk about MAID, you have to be of sound mind when you make that decision. You can't say 20 years from now, when I've got this, I don't want to be here. They don't allow you to do that. So I know people are always afraid they're going to be a burden, but your dad's not a burden to you. My dad wasn't a burden to me. You know, you love them.
But what about those of us who have no children, Lisa? Say your brother is out of the picture. I hope not. I hope, Kevin, that you live a good long life and you're around to torment your sister. I mean, to love your sister forever. But what about those of us who have no one? I mean, we have our kids who live in Ottawa, but they have their own lives, their own parents. So what we did was we went to the lawyer 2 weeks ago to kind of finalize this iteration of our will. And we said, we want a checklist where if our caregiver, our partner, our health overseer, if you will, checks all those boxes, it's time to check out. But that's not how MAID works. You don't hand them the sheet and say, look, she's 10 out of 10. Now can we book? It just doesn't work that way.
Right. And we joke about how the reason we have two people to make decisions for us, both Derek and I, in our official papers is because, you know, one of us might be mad at the other that day and just kick the plug out or something, you know.
Sure.
So you just never know, right? You have to have two people. But yeah, it's a sticky situation. You don't want to ever be in that position. But Derek has a daughter. She's my stepdaughter, but I've been in her life maybe half her life and not super, super close. I certainly wouldn't expect anything from her. So you just have to hope for the best. And there's nothing you can do, really. I mean, the whole ice floe thing turned out to be not true. I thought I'd get on an ice floe in the Antarctic and go out there with some penguins, but
I don't like being cold. I don't want my last minutes to be going, shit, it's cold. So no.
Okay, well then, how about Gilligan's boat, if not an ice floe?
Well, that's the thing. It's funny you go there because I'm thinking of a cruise, the one-way cruise ticket. But we'll plan that another time. We'll Thelma and Louise this thing, Lisa. Don't you worry. Don't worry. But listen, I do have a really sweet note to share with you, and it's literally a note from a woman named Lindsay. When I posted a picture of the coven with Dad for his birthday, she posted on my Facebook page, and listen to this. And it's a gift when you can hear from someone who knew your loved one. She says, Aaron, I worked with your dad at Worldways for close to a decade. Dad was chief pilot at a charter airline called Worldways. It went belly up. He didn't. She says, what a wonderful man. I knew him as an excellent pilot who told an interesting story to passengers once we were airborne. This is so my dad. Oh. Captive audience, gonna talk. I wonder where I get it. Once we were airborne and settled into the flight, your dad would give interesting facts about distance, weight of fuel, material that parts of the aircraft were made of. Lots of anecdotal information that made for a unique and enjoyable trip. A gentleman in every respect. Happy birthday, Dawn. So, Lisa, my dad, it turns out, was the Cliff Clavin of the airlines.
That's wonderful.
Interesting fact here. The fuel we're using, and people are going, let me go to sleep.
Yeah, just go wherever the ticket says. And
right?
That's really nice. What a nice,
isn't that funny?
Nice memory. It's very funny. You mentioned that your dad's long-term care home seems to be really good, that you are happy with how things are. I'm volunteering in this one here in Port Stanley, and last week I went in for my regular shift, and the usual activities that we do were canceled because it was Food Council Day. And I learned something. Every long-term care home in Ontario, and I don't know about the rest of the country, but they have to have a residents' council. And what they do is all the residents come to the dining room and they make it a food council. So it's about the menu. They do it once a month, and everybody has a chance to have their say about what they like, what they don't like, what they'd like more of. There was one day, I guess, that lunch came out late, and the woman in charge of that division apologized, said they've got measures in place so it'll never happen again. I was really tickled to see how it was run and how much of a say the residents had. They talked about strawberries, they talked about more salads, they talked about all sorts of stuff. It was really neat.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
nice
they had
to
more
hear
say
that.
than my husband gets in what I make for dinner. So
That's true.
It was really good, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Me too. It made me feel, I've always felt good about going in there, the way people are treated and how well looked after they are. But this took it to another level.
It's being on the inside that gives us that insight. And that is what the Coven, the sisters and I said after we left, of all of the things that we're feeling, regret and guilt about where Dad is. Thank goodness is not one of them. He was afforded a really generous pension because he was an officer in the Air Force and yada, yada, yada. He's got all of his bases covered. Yeah. So we are so lucky. And I was just reading in the Star on Tuesday about long-term care homes and Doug Ford and all of that stuff that's still there. But we are lucky.
Yeah.
We know we're lucky.
And they're not all the same, which is what the problem is when somebody gets sent somewhere, say, out of the place where they're living and they don't know what they're going to get into. And it can be problematic. But it's nice to know. And if your long-term care home where your loved one isn't having these council meetings, they're supposed to.
Oh.
So residents are supposed to have a say in all of this stuff. So make sure you look into it. I would say if it was me, I would be looking into my dad's for sure if he was still alive.
Sure.
Now that I know that it's something that's mandated. So
Thank you for the insider scoop there.
The hardest thing I have to do there is try and find a card deck that has all 52 cards.
Boy, isn't that a metaphor?
Yes.
Oh, Lisa, do any of us have all 52 cards? I don't think so.
But so many partial decks, why can't they just put them back? I know where you're going.
I know. And there's all those puzzles out there, too. Are they ever going to have all the pieces when you're done? I don't know. Boy, did you see the story in the Star this past week about would you buy a house if there was a murder committed there? And I may have told you about Rob's sister buying a house at a very reasonable price in Scarborough years ago, and there was a distinct blood stain on the landing, and there had been a violent mishap there. And I have no problem with that.
I don't either.
No.
I don't either. I have no trouble with it.
Yeah. And you know what? This whole show isn't about darkness and death. And come on, you got a joke about size in there at the beginning. But this told us, and you were saying maybe you need this for your house. And I'm thinking maybe we do because it's on the...
Not a murder.
No, not yet. But smudging or getting rid of old energies. You know what? Our house that we're trying to sell does not have any malevolent energies in it or anything that we know. We took out Lauren's beautiful urn that's shaped like a blackbird a few weeks ago. We thought, okay, maybe that's messing with the feng shui or the qi or something. But people are actually doing this. They're bringing in a medium, or in my case, an extra large. No, a medium to kind of clear the energies in the home.
This reminds me of my uncle's girlfriend years ago. After his wife had died, my beloved aunt, he started seeing this woman we found her kooky. And the first time she came over, she disappeared. And my mom found her in one of the rooms waving her arms around going, there's dark energy in here. There's dark energy in here. And there was. But it's like, okay, we just met you. Come sit down and put out the sage and stop waving your arms around. But now there were a lot of people. I mean, there's an indigenous link to some of these things, like with the sage and waving it around. And I remember doing that at the funeral for a friend. Yeah. And I mean, what could it hurt at this point?
That's so true. I need to know if your uncle stayed with that woman.
Oh, he did.
He did, eh?
Oh, yeah, right up till the bitter end. My wedding, she came up to my brother and said, tell Lisa her music sucks. And all this kind of stuff. Like, she was just a piece of work. But yeah, my uncle stayed with her right till the end.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe she did something for his energy, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I'll say, yeah, his chi was working just fine. Thank you very much. Yeah, so this woman, the one cited in the Star article, says she's had like 4 readings in the last month alone. That tells you how slow the market is, right? She churns the energy kind of like a cyclone and replaces it with positive, fresh intentions. She likens it to opening all the windows and bringing in fresh air. Sometimes sage or other implements are involved. I don't know, maybe crystals. But, you know, I planted that statue of St. Joseph upside down in the front yard that I was told to do a year ago. Right. But that didn't work.
Right. Okay, so what's her success rate, though?
She says once she's done with them, they're often quick to sell. She says that's what I'm known for. That's why they call me the big guns.
Well, couldn't hurt to try because it's a beautiful house. It makes no sense to me.
Well, I guess I'm envious. Oh, wait. You know, I was thinking about this the other day, the 7 deadly sins. You weren't raised Catholic, but did you know about the 7 deadly sins? Pride, sloth.
Oh, yeah. My grandmother was the original Catholic. So, yes, yeah.
But you know what? We love envy.
Yes.
We just do. That's our favorite deadly sin because of the pillows.
That's right. The envy pillow, ergonomic design, the way it keeps your face out of getting squished. And let me just divert for 1 second and say that our survey is still up at gracefullyandfrankly.com. Yes. And the comments we're getting about the envy pillow and how people are finding that, like for me, it relieves the pain in their neck and how much they love it. Really nice to see that people are getting the benefit of it. Like we tell them because we're doing it from our own experience.
Yeah, from the heart and the head. Because there's one woman who said she stopped seeing her neck doctor or whoever was doing the adjustments because she just didn't need it anymore. So you can take our word for it or you can try it yourself because it comes with a pillow back guarantee.
It does. Check it out, read about it, look at the photos and all the credentials this pillow has at envypillow.com. Use your code GF for 10% off.
Of course, another in those list of delicious sins, pride. Well, we're proud. We're proud of Gracefully and Frankly, and we're proud that you're answering these survey questions and doing such a good job of telling us what you like and what you would love to hear more of and stuff. And of course, this is Pride Month, so why not let our pride flag fly too?
There were a couple of women walking along the harbor, and we've always been pro-pride and understanding that the reasoning behind it is inclusiveness.
Right.
And so everybody feels included. When you feel excluded, that's when bad things happen. So personally and for society. So there were a couple of women walking along the harbor holding hands as I was heading to the spa. And I just thought, what the heck? And I went, Happy Pride. And they shot their hands up in the air and cheered and thanked me so much.
Aww.
And it was just a beautiful moment. And I thought, you know what? That cost me nothing. Nothing at all. Just to tell them I see you. I know that this is about you. And I want you to know I'm an ally. And it was just kind of neat. I didn't know what kind of reaction I would get.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. Yeah.
My favorite pride meme, and I know there's so many of them going around right now, is, why isn't there a straight pride parade? There was. It was in Ottawa, and they blockaded a downtown and harassed residents for like 3 weeks. 0 out of 10, no need for another. The convoy was straight pride.
I have one too.
Okay.
My favorite pride meme is, if you're opposed to same-sex marriage, when a gay person proposes to you, just say no.
There you go. Makes sense to me.
It's that easy.
Well, you may or may not know this, but you pointed it out to me. Thank you, Lisa. And I just also got something in my email about it today, so we're on top of it. June is also Men's Mental Health Month. And you came across something that is just so poignant, and it's a word that is anhedonia.
Yeah, it's like a symptom of depression, but it's also sometimes its own thing. For example, if your husband just doesn't feel like doing anything new or it might be more than being just a curmudgeon. He might actually have anhedonia, just getting through the day, not having an interest in doing anything else, nothing fun, not necessarily sad, but just stuck in his own little world and not wanting to do anything beyond whatever the regular routine is. Anhedonia.
That's an inability to feel joy.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of hedonism, like it's from the same word derivation. And it's also a great name. It sounds like Enya to me. You know,
Yes.
some new wave artist called anhedonia.
Please don't call your baby that.
No.
But if they're behaving that way, it might not be a bad idea to just take a closer look and have a little chat maybe, because I think of Robin Williams, and I know Robin was just Mr. Happy and Mr. Excitement and Mr. Everything else, but he was crumbling inside.
Yeah.
And I think we have to, especially with men, we have to hunt them like truffles and pull out from them some of the stuff that's going on with them. It takes a little bit more work than it does with our female friends who just can't wait to tell us what's going on with them, right?
And when the phrase man up, which is so toxic, man up, you know, that old boys don't cry thing. I love to think that we are past that. But the men in our generation, and of course their parents, they still have a fair amount of suck-it-uppitude. And I'm not ashamed to say that I've been kind of nudging Rob toward asking about antidepressants because he's been very depressed for the past year. And he has that kind of, I'm going to work myself through it. I'm going to be okay. You know, I'm fine. That sort of thing. And chances are he is, but also in the aging process as we get closer to the finish line than the starting line, and most of us, a lot of us are in the final turn. You start knowing that your body isn't going to get any better or... And so it can take a toll. Why do we have to know that there's an end in sight? That's not fair, human beings. It's not fair.
I know. We should be like cats or...
Yeah.
hamsters or something and just do, and then one day,
Gone. Yeah.
A bird carries us away or whatever. I don't know. Don't let your cats outside is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Have the conversation with the men in your life, whether it's your sons or your partners or your brother or anybody. And if you see them going down a rabbit hole or, even suspect it, just have the talk and let them know. Of course, there's nothing wrong with helping your mental health, because if it was your sugar levels, you'd be on insulin. There's no shame in antidepressants.
Yeah, and if it was your elbow, you'd have it in a sling or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw this and I thought that could pertain to a whole bunch of people that we just think are just getting grumpy and fuddy-duddy and in their own.
Yeah.
And then there are grumpy, fuddy-duddy people who are in their own routine and they're perfectly fine.
Yeah,
so.
well, they had smallpox, Lisa. Well, if you are in pain, there are things to take, and this is where a perfect place to mention that Sierra Sil, the all-natural capsules, still have their buy one, get one free promotion going on only until June 20th, okay? So get on it. Joint formula curcumin, combining clinically proven curcumin and their signature Sierra Sil mineral complex, antioxidant support for long-term joint health, and you will feel a difference within 14 days or your money back. It's so easy. Just go online, order it. And here's the website to try Sierra Sil. It really has made all the difference in Rob's life because he can play hockey, which helps with his depression because he's not playing hockey right now.
SierraSil.com is the website. Check it out. Don't miss your chance to double up on relief.
Well, nothing brings relief, other than Sierra Sil and a good neck pillow, than laughter. And with that in mind, it's time for This Week in Totally Stupid or... Twists! Take it away, Lisa.
All right. There is an etiquette expert who has about 6 million followers on social media, somebody I haven't heard of until William Hanson has put out a book called Just Good Manners.
Okay.
William Hanson is executive director of London's The English Manner, the leading etiquette and protocol institute of the United Kingdom, according to his website. He says there's only one way to eat a banana, with a knife and fork. No, we don't pick up a banana and peel it like a primate, he says. We use a knife and fork. First, go from one end, cut off, then cut off the other end, turn your knife on its side, score down the skin, peel it back, and cut each bite one at a time.
This is why the help in the kitchen roll their eyes at the palace.
He is dead serious. I thought it was a joke, but he absolutely believes. Like, who wants to...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many fruits are delivered to you with a handle? Not many.
Right.
So the banana is actually made by whomever you think makes bananas to be eaten like a primate in your hand, peeled and then tossed away. But no, not this guy. I learned from a monkey that the best way to open a banana is the other end, not the handle end, not the stem end.
What?
You open it the other end and it opens so easily, but it's a very difficult habit to get into, but not as difficult as eating your banana with a knife and a fork.
How about the idea where you hold it by the handle upside down and then you flick your arm and then it just opens that way. It breaks open. That's fun. But then you might take the king's eye out or something, and then that would be bad.
Yeah, well, you've got a knife in your hand with a banana. That could happen, too.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a story of Prince Charles coming to the United States and being offered a cup of tea in some sit-down and getting a cup of tea with a bag in it and the string hanging off the side, and him looking at it having no freaking idea what this tea delivery system was about.
Are you kidding?
No, I believe it. Because of course their tea is brewed for them, darling.
Of course, I understand. But I mean, he would never have seen a bag of tea with a banana? No.
He didn't know where the bag went. but he had no idea what to do with the bag. So I'm just, maybe that's what Queen Elizabeth had in her purse, was tea bags.
Maybe, or a little plastic container to put the tea bags in. Who knows?
Or a knife and fork in case someone presented her with a banana.
That's crazy.
Thank you. Thanks for the laugh. Twits indeed. And don't forget, answer the survey. We love it. You'll be up for all kinds of merch that we're going to be drawing for by Canada Day.
Yes, just look for the address on our Facebook page or go to news@gracefullyandfrankly.com and there's a link there and fill out the survey. That's it.
Survey, news. Also, too, we love your voicemails. We do indeed. Just go to gracefullyandfrankly.com, click that microphone. Hey, if you've got a good joke, we'll take that too. It's summertime. Why not? Okay.
Talk to you in a week, my dear.
All right, my love. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.